So picture yourself flying to a country where you barely know the language. You have what is equivalent today, so you have $150 in your pocket. The weather's terrible. You get dropped off at the wrong airport. Everything has to be diverted because of weather. So you're 400 miles away from your destination. You have $150 and you don't know anybody. And you could barely speak the language. This is how life in America started for Dr. Nagy. This is another long-form interview. It isn't for everybody. We do talk a little bit about car washing and chemistry, but a lot of this is just his story. And the reason I like a lot of these long-form interviews, you don't have to, but the reason I like them is because there is a lot of business and life acumen to learn from some of these people. Life doesn't always work out this way for sure, but when you surround yourself around great people and take some time to listen to how they've gotten to where they are now and how they've gotten there the right way, it is very encouraging, and that's something I want to continue to strive for in the way I live and the way I do business. And when you do business that way, this has worked for me, although I'm much younger than Dr. Nagy, you find that the best people, some of the most talented, some of the most intelligent, some of the people you absolutely can't afford, choose to work with you because they like how you do business. Dr. Nagy is an internationally recognized polymer chemist, and he chooses who he wants to partner with. And ultimately, that led to this interview. So kick back and relax, or maybe you're listening to this in the gym, and we're going to hear a little bit about the life and journey from Dr. Nagy. He's the senior chemist at Synergy Solutions. Enjoy. So just wanted to have a conversation with you, and Stephen is involved with us as well. And just want to get to know you and talk a little bit about polymers, but also talk a little bit about you because you've had a very interesting life, and we want to have all this on camera so we have it. And who knows how we'll use in the future, because people want to know who they're dealing with, you know, and they want something to remember. And you're a very memorable guy.
Is that a compliment?
Yeah, it is a compliment. It is a compliment.
Maybe one of my shortcomings. I don't know.
I don't think it is. Well, I guess there was a lot of really bad, memorable people too, but I didn't mean it in that way.
Okay. No, I appreciate it.
So we're here with Andras Nagy, and did I say that close to right? The American way?
That's the American way. So
Yeah.
my Hungarian way is Andras Nagy.
So you've been over 30 years experience in the car wash business, and you have a PhD in polymer chemistry, a PhD in macromolecular science, and a master's degree in chemical engineering, correct?
That's correct.
Any other degrees?
Maybe cooking, baking,
Fantastic. That's a good one to have.
running.
Yeah. Running? Now, do you still run?
I just stopped maybe 6 months ago.
Okay.
Because, you know, I did probably 6 marathons and more than 100 halves.
Wow.
And then I actually wore my joints.
Okay.
So it started to ache when I started to run. So, and my wife keeps telling me that I have to stop. So I'm just rather walking and swimming. But
Okay.
but it was a great experience because my father and my brother, they were excellent runners.
Okay.
So when I grew up, you know, we were always competing with my brother, who is 15 months older than I am. But I mean, when we started to run, you know, after a couple of minutes, I couldn't see him because he was so fast.
Uh-huh.
And so we had to go to the army before went to the university after high school.
Okay.
And in the army, we had lots of competitions, and you know, if you won something, you could go home for a day or so. So you got
Yes.
some breaks, and somebody told me, okay, push it, and you will be okay. And they told me, why don't you run, because you are not too bad. And I started to run, and it turned out that, you know, that was a challenge, which, you know, because I was comparing myself to excellent runners, I was not as bad as I thought I was. So
Okay.
it was always a challenge. And I started to run long distances when I was in Ohio at my former, and up in the hill. And one of my neighbors started the Akron Marathon.
Oh, wow.
And he told me that, Andras, you have to, sign up for that. And I said, I am not running such a long distances. Maybe 5-6 miles is the longest. And he said, don't worry, you can get to it. So I went on the internet and I started to train, and that next 6 months was a hell. I am telling you, because I did all the mistakes which I was not supposed to do. I didn't stretch enough. I didn't rest enough. So sometimes, I got all kind of injuries, but I still kept doing it because I already signed up for it and I promised him to do it. So my first marathon, after mile 20, I got such a bad cramps that I could hardly walk. So it took me, I think, almost 5 hours to complete the marathon, but I did it.
Wow.
And then the second year, I tried to learn from my mistakes. And then when we moved down to Virginia, I joined the running club.
Okay.
And that made a huge difference.
Yeah.
So I improved. The first year I improved an hour. So,
Wow.
That's
Okay.
and yeah, and then, but I was already in my early 50s that time. So obviously, you are plateauing,
Mm-hmm.
but it was good. And so we say that when you travel, your legs are always handy. So you don't need anything, just running shoes, right? And
Yeah.
then you can go out and run. And actually, when we moved to Virginia, that was one of my way to get to know the area, because we
That's a good
ran
idea.
so many places. So I remember that before one of the marathons, we were supposed to run a 20-miler in the morning, and then I went home, took a shower, went to a Hungarian party when we started to play volleyball.
Okay.
And we had a dinner and we went home. I took a shower, and before the dinner I fell asleep, and my wife says, "Okay, wake me up, what's wrong with you?" And I said, "Oh, nothing. Oh, by the way, I also mowed the lawn on that day." And I said, "Oh, nothing, just, it was a little bit of a heavy day."
Yeah.
Yeah, so
20 miles.
but it was great. But maybe now I am paying for it, but hey, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I always like challenges. So
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because I can see that already between all your degrees and what you've done in your career, and then the running. Like, where do you think those challenges, that resilience came from? Like, how did you grow up? What was things like when you grew up?
well,
in Hungary?
actually, I am very competitive. So
Okay. What do you think as when you were really young? What do you think attributed to that?
I don't know. I mean, probably because my brother and I were so close to by age,
Okay.
and he was a very, very nice guy. He always treated me like a younger brother. I was not as nice to him, because when we got into a fight, I always blamed it on him, and sometimes he got into trouble. So I apologize, but I am brutally honest. I remember now that sometimes I was not nice to him because of that. But because he was so good in sports, especially soccer, and I am not good at soccer, and so everything which he tried, he excelled, and I was always second.
Okay.
And I thought that, and that's why probably with education, probably I was better in elementary school than he was.
Okay.
So I am a geek. I'm sorry. I am.
So you embraced the education then and went that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was always wanted to be number one in the class, and I remember when we had to study Russian language, that was mandatory, required, and I got a B, and I started to cry. I apologize. I mean, it's probably funny, but and the classmates looked at me and said, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "Well, I could have done better," things like that. But actually, it changed. So later, I realized I have to be more realistic. You cannot excel in everything. But it really bothered me that in sports he was so much better than I was, and probably still is. So he is still in Hungary, and he is a lean guy, just like you, and very in good shape. So
where in Hungary did you grow up?
Budapest,
Okay.
the capital.
Yeah.
Yeah. yeah.
And those were challenging times back that era as well,
So
correct?
it's interesting because if I look at it, we didn't realize that it's a in the Iron Curtain, behind the
Yeah.
Iron Curtain country, or we didn't realize that we are so limited in terms of freedom. The only thing which we realized when we went to high school and we had a trip to Poland, and we saw American tourists at the hotel, and then how free they were, and how how to say that it's just they had so much confidence, and we were just doing like this, and can we do this, can we do that? They didn't ask, they just did it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of couch on the entrance, and when they arrived they immediately sat down, and we were not supposed to sit down because our teacher told us you have to wait until the elderly will occupy the chair. So and then also the Hungarian currency was not convertible. So it really had a huge limitation in terms of traveling.
Yeah.
So we couldn't go to the west.
Really?
Even to Austria, we had to
Yeah.
have special
Yep.
permits, and it was really difficult. So when I got the opportunity after I got my first PhD, I got the opportunity to come here as a postdoc,
Okay.
as a fellowship. The government gave me $50. That was all.
That was nice of them.
No, didn't give me the $50. Allowed me to bring out $50.
Okay.
So my
Wow.
parents bought $50, and that time we already have both children. My son was 6 months old, and my
Okay.
daughter was 3.5. So, and the airplane, the flight attendant came and said, "Hey, Mr. Nagy, would you like to have a glass of wine?" And I said, "Yes, please." So she gave me a glass of wine, and then she said, $5.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Oh my gosh.
And
You're
I had
squandering
50,
it.
and I had $50.
Yeah.
And so I gave it to her, and she said, "I don't have change. I will get back to you." So there was an elderly lady sitting next to me. It turned out that she was a journalist from Austria, and then she said, "Hey, don't worry about it. You will get back the change. Don't worry about it." So I arrived in New York. All my connections were canceled because there was a huge snowstorm, and I got back the money, but my connections was canceled, so I was supposed to arrive in Cleveland from New York. And
What year is this?
that was 1984,
Okay.
January.
Okay.
January the 24th, I still remember that. And finally, I was told that I arrived at JFK, but my connection will be from LaGuardia. And I said, okay, but how can I get to LaGuardia with public transportation? It was almost midnight, and then I went to the line. There was a taxi line, and a gentleman, who was actually telling that who can go to where, it's arranging the people on the line. And then I said, how much is going to be the taxi from JFK to LaGuardia? And then the guy said, $40.50 or something like that. And I said, okay, I have $45 on my pocket. If it's $50, I won't be able to make it.
Yeah.
And so I went to a couple, a nice couple on the line, and said, can we share a cab if you guys are going to LaGuardia? And said, oh, sure. Okay, come on, no worries. So it actually was $15 what the guy told me.
Yeah.
But because of my English or because of his accent,
Yeah.
I couldn't understand it.
Someone
so
in New York with an accent? Huh.
I was so happy. I was
Yeah.
so happy that I wanted to pay for the whole stuff,
Yeah.
but the guy didn't let me.
That's
so,
scary. So you
yeah.
you came with $50 to the States.
Yeah, and my luggages were lost. So the first thing I had to ask my professor that, could you please give me some advance because I have to buy, underwear and some clean shirts so that I can survive. So it took them 9 days to get my luggage back.
Oh my God.
So that was my first experience.
What a
But
start.
yeah.
What
So-
a start.
yeah, but and the family was at home because we couldn't afford to have everybody, and
Yeah.
they followed me in May. So it's four months I was alone here,
Wow.
and so it was not easy. I mean, I didn't understand too much, because we studied the British English.
Yeah.
And
I
it
didn't
was
know
kind
that.
of
Okay.
yeah, we studied, and I started only at the university.
Okay.
So I had
started
only
late.
5 years,
Wow.
and maybe twice a week. So
Now, is it true that I know sociologically in that era, a lot of things were challenging in Hungary and the Eastern Bloc, but the education was pretty good,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because there's a lot of people don't realize in the sciences and the math, East Russia, Hungary, they really excel at that
very
stuff.
competitive.
Yeah, and because
yeah.
I think because the economy is so poor, they think they equate education with that. That's not the case at all.
No.
They're another level.
Yeah, I really have to, give lots of credit to them because, first of all, the reason I have 2 PhDs is because I wanted to be a full professor at the in Hungary,
Okay.
and so 1 PhD was not enough. You had to do lots of publications, lots of other scientific stuff, and so my professor told me, if you want to stay with the university or go to the university, you have to go for this so-called second degree,
Okay.
which here they translated it as a second PhD, but basically that's in Germany, I think it's habilitation or something
Okay.
like that. It's above the first doctoral degree.
Okay.
In terms of requirements, you have to have minimum 2 foreign language exams and all the other stuff. So actually, I have an language exam in Russian, but I kind of it's passive. So if you
Wow.
don't use it, you lose it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can understand some, but maybe if I practice, I can manage. But it's very rusty. So yeah, I mean, education was really, really good. And for example, at the university, when I studied, we had classes on Saturdays, and we had 40 plus hours every week.
That's crazy.
Every week.
Yeah.
So after 5 years, we had an accelerated program, and I went for it, and that's how I got my first master's degree in engineering, chemical
Okay.
engineering. So yeah, it was really good. The only thing which was not good, probably in terms of education, that they were very, very strict. So we had to memorize lots of stuff. So lexical knowledge was very important, and I remember every exam I went to the library, and I tried to come up with some ideas from books that, okay, if they say that, hey, this idea, if you develop for example, develop a product, how can you utilize it? So they wanted us to think about also practical terms, not only
that's good.
the science behind it. But we didn't have internet. We were not allowed to use calculators, even at the university.
Wow.
We had to remember, how to estimate or guesstimate a result. I remember that when one of it was still in high school. One of the problem was, I think, in physics, that what would be the minimum area of an floating ice on a lake, which could support an average man.
Uh-huh.
And somebody came up with an idea, but he actually calculated that an average man is not 70 kilograms, but 7 kilograms. So he made a decimal point mistake.
Oh.
And then he failed. And he said, oh, I did everything right. It was only a decimal point. And the teacher told him, think about it. If you calculate an an area of an ice which can handle 7 kilograms, which is probably 16 pounds, how can it handle an adult, man?
Yeah.
Because that adult man would just, suffocate or get into the lake. So, yeah, I mean, and I also studied music. So I probably, honestly, I think my biggest talent when I grew up was in music.
Okay.
So I sang, I played the piano, and I really liked it, and I never felt any limitations like in science or math, or you reach a level when you say, oh, I have to study more, but the music just came very naturally to me. But my dad told me that, hey, how many opera singers Hungary needs?
Yeah, that's right.
And how many good engineers Hungary needs. And so I was invited by the Hungarian radio choir, and they didn't let me to go.
Okay.
They didn't let me go.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, didn't let me go. And that time, I was very upset, but I think that my dad was absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
That's a tough thing. There's a lot of artists out there. I do music as well, and and a lot of younger people growing up, they want to do art, but you don't want to crush dreams. But good parents are like, okay, but you need something that can.
Yeah,
you
you really have
market.
to be.
Yeah.
If you wanna have a living from art or music, you really have to be genius.
Yeah.
I mean,
that makes sense.
I love music. When sometimes I am listening to operas till midnight, and I realize, oh my God, I have to go to bed. But the love of music stayed with me, and I think it helped a lot to go through hard times.
Sure,
So,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So with all this, how did you get into polymers? How did you get going in that direction?
So I wanted to be a physician.
Okay.
That was my first dream. After I was told that I am not allowed to go to the art, but I can stand blood.
Oh,
So
wow.
if they draw blood, even now, I am getting so excited, and many times I fainted. So my blood pressure drops because my family doctor in Hungary told us that in the human nature is that our ancestors, when they got injured, there is a mechanism that when you bleed, your blood pressure drops, so you are not going to bleed to death.
That
And
makes
that
sense.
actually is an override in me.
Wow.
So I always tell everybody in the lab. So once I cut my hand with a broken flask, and I told them I have to sit down, or I even lay down, and you guys take care of me, because if I see lots of blood, I might faint. And a couple of times it happened at the doctor's office. I broke my head while I got a shot. So anyhow, I wanted to be a physician, but it was out. And my second area was architect.
Okay.
I love blueprints. I love to think about in 3D, but I didn't have extra talent for freehand drawing.
Okay.
And that time we didn't have computers, and that was a requirement. They gave you a topic that, hey, just make a bouquet of flowers or whatnot. And I was pretty average, or even not even average. So then I had to realize, okay, so I am pretty good in science, math, and I loved physics, and I loved watching my grandma and my mom baking and cooking, and that was natural. So I followed chemistry. So that's how I end up in chemistry.
Wow, that is neat.
So yeah, and then at the university I had choices. So after before we specialized, we had 3 choices. I think I could go to medicine in terms of pharmaceutical, food chemistry, or polymer chemistry, and organic chemistry.
Okay.
And food chemistry was very close to me, but I thought that, that time food chemistry was not so developed in Hungary, but the polymers were coming up, and then it was pretty bright future. I read a lot about it, and the medicine, the pharmaceutical was also okay. I loved organic chemistry, but polymer chemistry was kind of challenging, most challenging. So I chose polymer chemistry.
There's a theme there.
Yeah. I chose polymer chemistry, and I since then I love it. So yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So you came to the Akron area in 1984, and you got involved with University of Akron,
Yes.
the Polymer Institute, I assume.
Yes.
Okay, and then were you pretty much based out of Akron for the next 20 years or so after that, or?
No, actually, so it was a 1.5 year fellowship.
Okay.
And my professor extended it for another 6 months, but my family went back because we got only a stipend.
Yeah.
There was not a salary.
Yeah.
And we could, I mean, I remember that we had, I don't want to give numbers, but we had such a small amount of money that my car broke down and I had to have a new clutch. And then it took out almost all of our money. And so we really had to budget everything because we never wanted to ask any help from the government, or we were very proud Hungarians.
Yeah.
And so actually one of my colleague at the university, who was an Indian professor, very nice guy, told me that, hey Andras, here is $100. I don't want your family suffer, and then when you get the next paycheck you can pay me back. So that's how we survived. And we wanted to travel because we were not planning to stay here.
Okay.
So my wife had a distant relative in San Diego, California. So she invited us. She paid for our airplane tickets, but we went there, and we went from San Diego to LA, and then all the way up to San Francisco. We went even over the Golden Gate Bridge to see the huge trees, the Moorwoods,
Sequoias.
the sequoias. We really enjoyed it, and then we also went down to Florida to see Disney World, right? Disney World,
Land, I think.
Disneyland,
Yeah,
or World is
It's Orlando, I
Got
think.
me.
Orlando.
I've never been there. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I think so.
So
Florida, but not there.
One of them.
And also went to Chicago. Yeah, so we tried to travel, but again I had some debts after that, so I had to pay it back, and my wife and the kids went back to Hungary before my son turns 2.
Okay.
Because then the airplane ticket was only 10% of an adult if the kid is under 2 years old.
Oh, okay.
And so after another 6 months, I followed them, and I was started to work on my second PhD, and we built a house in Hungary. But my professor kept inviting me back. Professor Kennedy, you met him, and he sent me 4 or 5 invitation letters, but I couldn't tell him that, hey, I have to do this second degree, I cannot come back before. And then finally, I think in 91 March, I think I defended my second degree, and April we came.
Okay.
For another 2 years. And then the kids started to go to school here, and they really loved it. We visited every year back to Hungary, and but the kids realized, oh my God, this is so much freedom. The people are so friendly, everybody is smiling, and when we go back, our friends are kind of just looking at us, and they kind of saying, oh, you are coming from America, probably you are like too nosy, or what, too...
Anything to do with America, they think you're rich.
Yeah.
Yep.
They think that you are raking dollars here,
Yeah.
and everybody was anticipating bringing big, presents back to Hungary, but we could hardly survive because I was still on a stipend at the university. Well, that time I was on a little bit of a salary, but because I was a visiting professor, visiting scholar, but I still didn't have the green card. So the kids, I made my daughter study physics and chemistry at middle school, I think 6th or 7th grade, because we saw that we are going back to Hungary, and the Hungarians start physics and chemistry in 6th and 7th grade. And she was called the Hungarian geek because she had to go to the high school for these classes, and she was not happy about it because you want to fit in.
Yeah.
And I don't blame her, but later, because she is an OBGYN now, and for the university she went through like this in organic chemistry and physical chemistry, because she already had good foundations.
Yeah.
So she appreciated it, and so we applied for the green card, and we had a very good lawyer help us. And actually she said, hey Andras, you have so many publications and awards and things like that. The most challenging thing is to go to the highest level. But if you get it, you don't even need a job offer. You can get green card that way, and it's called extraordinary ability aliens.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I don't think I have enough, but she said, okay, let's try it. So she put together a material which was, I think, 600 pages with all my publications and references, and oh my God, I still have it in a big box.
Wow.
And there was a colleague back in Hungary, because after university I started to work for a research institute. Mm-hmm. Because I couldn't stay at the university because I was not, member of the Communist Party, and you had to stay, or had to be a member of the Communist Party that time if you became a teacher at the university. So I couldn't stay there because I never wanted to be, and I've never been a member.
That might have hurt you for your green card too, if you would have been.
I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it,
sure.
But yes, absolutely, you are absolutely right. So anyhow, we applied, and then I think that one of my colleagues from the research institute in Hungary, he got the Nobel Prize couple of years earlier. So I asked for a supporting letter, because I had to have, supporting letters. Just like when you will have a Nobel Prize, you also have to have supporting letters.
Yeah.
So I asked him, and there was no answer. And no answer. So my lawyer told me, okay, Andras, we have enough material. Let's just put the material in for the application. As soon as we send it via mail, next day a letter came and says, hey Andras, I apologize, I was traveling, but here is the supporting letter.
Awesome.
So my lawyer told me that it's too late.
Oh.
Let's just wait. If they refuse it, then we go to the second level, and definitely that will help. But I got the extraordinary ability alien level, so I have a paper for that. So I always told my kids, if they question me on anything, this is just a joking, that hey, I have a proof.
That's right.
But yeah, so and then after that, I was hired pretty soon. I was hired up in the hill from Royal Sheen, and I learned a lot there, because you came from academia, you have lots of ideas, but because I was always hands-on, I always wanted to see how an idea works.
Yeah.
And that's why, I chose that I have to go out to the industry and see it. And that couldn't be a biggest challenge, that coming from a polymer scientist to a car wash industry, because it's that time it was absolutely, but again,
it's
challenge.
It's still unheard of.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme.
It's still a challenge. So even my wife told me that, hey, why don't you just go to Goodyear or good, Firestone or the other, BF Goodrich, the
Yeah.
polymer companies, which,
We have plenty of
Akron
those
is
around here.
Akron is the polymer capital of the world.
Yeah.
But I saw that, hey, I spent so many years now with polymer, I have to have to try something different, whether I can still, apply my education. And believe it or not, and the people up in the hill, I learned the most from Leroy. Leroy was he had, I think, a bachelor's degree in science, but he was kind of similar like Gary for our company, that he knew the production. He was very good with science, with computers, and it was a brutally honest guy, but very nice guy. So he immediately accepted me, and I remember that some of the colleagues said, "Oh, this guy came from academia, let's see." So they challenged me a couple of times, but
It's understandable.
which is understandable.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing which I think I broke the untrust was that we were making a tire shine with a very high viscosity silicone, and then the pump broke. And then already R&L, the shipping company, was here waiting for the product. And that time, the company decided that they are going to change the eaves, the gutters around the building. So the old ones were laying down, next to the building. So I grabbed one piece and I went to the guy who was washing the drums, and I said, "Hey, Scotty." You remember Scotty? "Scotty, could you please clean this out very well for me, because I need maybe a 10-foot piece." And then he said, "Sure, why not?" And we dried it and we created a chute. And then, George lifted the drum up to the open, tank. And then the stirrer was going on, and then we just gravitated the stuff in. So it just flew in, or not flew, flow in, just like honey, because it was so thick.
Yeah.
And then they said, "Oh, this is Hungarian engineering." And then
that
time,
stuck, right?
And that time on, that stuck. And that
Yeah.
time on, they accepted me.
That is
Yeah,
neat. You were
yeah.
able to improvise.
Yeah, but I mean, I had failures, I have to admit, and you always try to learn from your failures, but you have to be brave and you have to try things, because otherwise you can just stay in your little area, and if you don't go out and try something, so you have to, at least for me, what worked is that I have to reach a point when you feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
And then
Just like running.
just like running.
Yeah.
Just like running. So everybody told me that, you are not gonna do it, or why do you do it? A marathon will ruin you, things like that. But I met so many fantastic people, from all over the society, and and also when I don't know if I am supposed to talk about this or not, but because we were pretty proud and we didn't want to ask for social help. The second time when we came back, my wife is excellent with gardening.
Okay.
She is an economist. She has a master's degree in economy, but she also took some garden architecture courses. And we also had a big garden back in Hungary, and my parents were tailors, so they were very busy. And so my brother and I, we took care of the garden. My wife also loved gardening when she grew up. So we decided that we are going to go to landscaping to support us, because she had a work permit. I couldn't work other than at the university because I had a special visa.
Yeah.
But she had a work permit because she was a spouse. So we opened a landscaping company.
Wow.
It was Maria's Gardens.
Yeah.
And within 2 or 3 years, we had 70 customers.
Oh my gosh.
And just 2 of us. So my wife sent the kids to school. She started no, actually I started the business because I woke up at 4 in the summertime, you know, it's already light. And I started whatever was, you know, either mowing or trimming shrubs or things like that. And at 7 I went home, took a shower. She took care of the kids and then went back to the job, and then she was working the whole day until the kids came out of school. And then after the university I went back and I finished what we started. But within 3 years or 4 years we could put down, so by the time I got the green card we could put down a down payment for a house in Fairlawn Heights in Akron.
Yeah.
It was I remember that was the most difficult $45,000 which we made with landscaping, but we made it, and you know, everybody saw that we are well-to-do people. I remember that we moved in, and it turned out that it was really a nice house, brick, beautiful. Probably you had been there, and but after a few months there was a big rain. It was November already, and the storm sewer started to back up, and our basement, you know, the sump pumps couldn't handle it. So it turned out that the storm sewer lines, when they built the house, the builder was excellent, but subcontracted the outside work, and there was lots of big rocks in that area. So they dug a ditch, and then they used underrated pipe. So it was a PVC pipe, but it was very thin. And then the bulldozers just pushed back those big rocks, and then eventually they flattened it so that it was no storm sewer. You know, the storm water the rainwater was not going to the sewer. So we decided with my wife that, I mean, we didn't have money. We put everything down. We dug 150 feet of ditch. And the neighbors were asking that, what are you guys doing? And so my wife is also pretty funny, and she said, oh, we are looking for gold. But we did it, and it didn't you know, cost money, just, you know, just physical work, and we really did a good you know, piping and everything. So and the neighbors were very nice, and they also gave us advices because, you know, I mean, we were not used to the building materials here. So I asked help. I went to the university for the library at the time to learn more about the storm sewers and the storm pipes and things like that. But it was good, and you know, it's probably also was a good example for our kids that you know,
to work for
don't be afraid that if something is strange or new. My daughter was an excellent student, and she won the Harrison Scholarship for college. But in between junior and senior year, she was working at the Akron bakery in the summertime, and she was coming home, and she was already driving and crossing Market Street, which is Route 18. It's a main street, and then a lady with a minivan didn't realize that she was running a red light, so she teed her, and so she ended up in the hospital, lost her spleen, broken pelvics, collapsed lungs. So she was in the intensive unit for 10 days. And she almost died. And then the woman was preoccupied with her dog, and she didn't realize that she was running a red light, and she filed bankruptcy next day. So whatever my underinsured, uninsured policy could pick up, because the hospital bill was, I think 6-figure or so.
Yeah.
And so we almost got bankrupt that time. But thank God she survived. And that's when she decided that she's going to be a doctor. Oh, and she lost the Harrison Scholarship because the last test, I think it was SAT or ACT, she couldn't do it in time, and she lost the scholarship for 4 years. So, but hey.
There's a lot to learn from all that. I mean, all the setbacks. The setbacks,
Yeah.
It's getting up from the setbacks, which really sets people apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even now, so some of my peers, they say, "Oh, I can hardly wait for retire," and actually, I was scared. People were saying, "Okay, are you going to retire at 65?" And I said, "No, I think maybe 66." And then, "No, maybe another year." So finally, at 68, I retired. But thank God, I got lots of requests and people, "Oh, are you going to, work or do something?" And I said, "Well, I don't want to retire." And Pete, you were so nice. I think during one of our visits, you said that, "Okay, just let me know when you retire because we have some plans."
We'll unretire you real fast.
And then really, I am telling it behind you or in front of you, but you are probably the nicest people in the industry, and that's why I decided. First of all, I know them for 30 years. Not you, because probably you are younger than 30.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, 32.
32.
Yeah.
Okay, but I remember when you were playing with my kids were already in middle school or high school, and you were just the cutest thing, around, and also your sister during those pig roasts, you remember? Yeah, it was great. But yeah, so it's lots of failures, but lots of successes, and I just remember that my dad back in Hungary and my parents, they were not well-to-do people, but they were very proud. They never joined the party for some more money.
Yeah.
My dad was 70 years old, and then he was started to, expand the house, to build another room and another bathroom. So for us, it was not like, you have a challenge and you have to be afraid. So sometimes maybe I am taking more bites than I can handle or chew, but hey, sometimes it works.
That's right. Better than not taking bites at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So you worked with a German company for years.
Yes.
How was it working with what advantages did you get working with a big, company out of Germany? And was there any quirks that were working for a German company?
So when I worked up in the hill, and we refer to it, I was considered to be the big magician. Everybody was anticipating the answers for me, which was very challenging, but many times I didn't have the answer. I had to go to the library. My professor was excellent, and he let me do research back in at the university, because my wife also started to work for Royal Sheen, because she also had a chemistry degree.
Okay.
So she was running the QC lab.
Wow.
And officially I was her boss.
Oh boy.
Finally.
Officially I was her boss.
Yeah. We all know how that goes.
Yeah. We have a saying that back in our kitchen, a sign that Mr. Right and Mrs. Always Right. Well, anyhow, so I could go every day. I could go back to the university, and my professor was consulting us. You remember Professor Kennedy, but for helping him out when I was at the university, I also got a PhD students and 2 or 3 master students, which I was supposed to help them. And so, it was like a symbiotic relationship, or it was an excellent relationship. So Long story short, I learned a fantastic amount about the car wash industry at Royal Sheen. But when I joined, which is a huge German company, I think 15 or 16 billion euro annually,
Okay.
huge. We were active in, or they are active in more than 100 countries. Lots of talented people.
Okay.
Excellent knowledge base. I really learned a lot. So if I had something, some of them were secretive, but some of them were pretty open. And the company policy was that knowledge is not for you. If you develop something, that's company knowledge and company value.
Certain German culture is coming through there. Yeah.
You know, for a patent,
Yeah.
we got $1.
Wow.
And that's
Yeah.
official.
Yeah.
That's official.
Yeah.
Unless you are in Germany, because in Germany they got royalty. But if you are working here, I think it's a US, whatever, I don't know, but that was already, and you know, they had pretty strict confidentiality
Understandable.
rule.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate every minute which I spent there, because I learned a lot, I traveled a lot. I went to China, Brazil, all around Europe, and it was really an experience. But it's pretty competitive. So because I was almost 50 years old when I joined, I think I was 49. It was already for career wise. It was already a little bit, I would not say late, but not the optimum age.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you want to build a good career in a big company, probably you have to be in your upper 30s, lower 40s.
Okay.
So, for example, I signed up for a management or a director management course, and I was not chosen because I was new and I was almost 50. So young kids were sent to Germany. But actually, you know, I was not looking for the title. I was looking for the opportunities, and also that I can manage people. Mm-hmm. So I had excellent chemists to manage, and we learned from each other. Mm-hmm. Because no matter what, if you have the education or you don't have the education, but if you have common sense, that's probably as important, having common sense, than education on paper.
Yeah.
Because I saw so many, you know, good, nice titles, and they couldn't put together a distillation unit in the lab.
Yeah.
And for me, you know, I always think about it, you know, how we can make it, how we can make it better, and what is the science behind it, but what is the practice behind it. So I think that's why your degree is absolutely crucial for this business, because you know, you understand the mechanics, and then Pete, you have the sales experience in the industry. So I think it's a perfect combination. So.
And Stephen, your degree's in mechanical engineering and automation, correct?
Yeah, mechanical engineering with a focus in manufacturing.
Okay.
So yeah, I did automation design.
Okay.
Earlier in my career, like designing custom automation for the automotive industry. So basically figure out how to put these hatches on this hatchback car while it's moving on an assembly line. Mm-hmm. So we made all kinds of robotic arms and suction apparatuses. So we had, we would design it, and then we'd collaborate with, we had PLC engineers, controls engineers, electrical engineers, but we designed it, and then we fabricated all the pieces and parts, and it was cool. It was a really good experience.
Yeah, it's important for people to know that you had a career before coming home, so to say, at Synergy, that you were out there in the real world. You just didn't kind of come up through here, but you were out there and able to practice your degree and get some experience. And,
yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. I just asked his advice yesterday about, HVAC.
Yeah,
well, that's
because
right.
my son, had a new HVAC system installed, and that's Train, and then he said that's the best choice, and I even sent you some stuff just to see if it's Yeah.
So was the German company that was also in chemistry involving cleaning cars, that kind of thing?
So they were focusing on surfactants, detergents.
Okay.
So they are multifaceted. I mean, from healthcare to fabric care. So this is not a secret, but they are the biggest raw material producer for fabric softeners.
Okay.
I think maybe 10 truckloads are leaving the plant every day.
Okay.
In America, and they are active in 100 countries. But yeah, so one of the area which I joined was the home care, household care area, and then it included cleaning, protection, and also I&I, so industrial and institutional cleaning, and that's how the vehicle care came in. So they are manufacturing some of the key ingredients for example, drying agents or protectants, and also for cleaners, and obviously surfactants, polymers. They have even a polymer division. But again, I didn't want to go to the polymer division because probably that would be, I am not saying too easy for me, because I don't wanna be, how to say that, non-humble or whatever. But it was probably more challenging for me to go to the cleaning area.
So you have experience in surfactants as well as polymer for sealants and that kind of thing. But now all the surfactants are polymers as well, all the detergents and the
not all of them.
Synergy, I should say.
Yeah, at Synergy we are going towards that goal. It's not 100% polymers, but we are hopefully because if there is a non-polymer molecule which you can buy it easier, the supply is better, and it has no disadvantages compared to a polymer, I would not change it just to say that it's polymer. But when the polymer has advantage, definitely we are gonna target those areas. Yeah.
And what kind of advantages did you have when it comes to this business, being able to just be always surrounded by the top polymer minds at University of Akron and being always involved with them?
So I mean, learning from them. I really like to learn, and probably that's the most important thing for me is that don't think about it that you Mr. No. You are not Mr. No. My math teacher in high school told me that a real intelligent person is who knows how much he doesn't or she doesn't know. And that's really stayed with me, because how can you say that, oh, I know this, I know that? No, you don't. Even if you think you do. So for example, one of my hobbies is baking. My parents were tailors, and my mom always, and they were very, very busy before holidays. And she said, I can do the cooking, but if you guys want pastries or cakes or whatnot, you have to make it. And so since age 8 or 9, I started to experiment in the kitchen. My brother had like more mechanical experience, like Stephen, and he had an electric drill. But the drill, you couldn't regulate the RPM, so it even was low, medium, or high. But there was nothing,
not variable.
Not variable. Thank you. And so I said, okay, it's so much stirring, so much, blending. So I took a wooden spoon and I made a propeller out of it. And then I put it into the drill. And then I told my family that, hey guys, I invented the Nagy blender, so just come in. And I put all the ingredients into a bowl, and the top, I put the cocoa powder on the top. And then I said, okay, just watch. And then I turned the drill on, and then I pushed it in, And then everybody got the chocolate cake at their, chest level, and so that was also a big failure. But then I made another solution when we had scooters, and I used one of the scooter wheel, and then I made a hole. So if you put the scooter wheel on a horizontal position, I made a hole, and I put the propeller or the wooden spoon, the propeller into it in a horizontal position, so that was in a vertical position, and I used the drill with a stick, and then it was like I pushed it next to the perimeter of the wheel. So actually the drill was spinning very fast, but because of the scooter wheel diameter was bigger, it was moving slower or smaller, and it was just doing like this. And then I created a little case out of it, and that was the solution. And I used it probably for 5 years before I could buy one.
I mean this in the most endearing way. That's the most Eastern European thing.
Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah, because we didn't have KitchenAids or whatnot.
You improvise, and you can't just go buy something new like a lot of people do these days.
Yeah, he still bakes a ton, and every year he brings Hungarian nut rolls and poppy seed rolls.
Poppy seed roll, nut roll. So we wanted to open a business before, when we were planning for retirement. My wife retired when we moved down to Virginia because we agreed that money is not number one for us. Our daughter is in New York, our son is in Ohio. We want to visit them. Grandkids came, so she was always babysitting somewhere. But anyhow, we decided that we had so much success with pastries because I was organizing this running club at the Ivanic in Richmond, because Richmond has a cancer research institute, the Massey Cancer Center in Richmond, which is one of the top cancer research institute. And the company wanted to pay our fee if somebody signed up for a running. The company said, okay, we can promote you to get exercise. And I told them, don't pay them. Just give the money to me, and then I will give it to the research center. So for that, we invited the research institute every year after we had a 10K, I think in Richmond, and my wife and I baked Hungarian pastries. And it was so successful, everybody loved it, that we decided maybe we can open a business like a Hungarian baking. And we were planning to do that, and I already started, preparation. We have the name, Good Hungary. That's the name.
That is
Not
amazing.
Good Hungry, but Good Hungary.
Yeah, that is
by
amazing.
Andras Nagy. So, and I have the price list also, and I set it up on Excel. But COVID came.
Yeah.
And then it would have been too challenging, and my, our youngest granddaughter was born in New York, and so my daughter is working 70 hours per week at the hospital. So my wife spends a lot of time there. So, and for me alone, I would not start it. So it's just a hobby, although people still order, because every, so I baked more than 100 pounds of flour for this season.
Yeah. Well,
So
How many scales do you have again?
I have 4.
4. He has like tons of equipment and stuff.
Yeah, I
He's
have
all
4.
set up.
I was going to say, I can see how the research in science and polymer background could go with cooking.
4 KitchenAid. I have 4 KitchenAid.
Okay.
And then last time, maybe in the summer, I was here, and Gary is, we are making a formula, and so usually in a scale, sometimes a gram accuracy is good. But when you, for example, measure dye or fragrance, you have to have more accuracy.
Yeah.
So he purchased a scale which had centigrams, which is hundredths of a gram. And I said, Gary, how much it was? And he said, oh man, you know, I did a great deal, and then it was $89 on Amazon. And I said, $89? Just give me the link. So, and I found it for $79 because that was a, whatever, was it a Black
Friday.
Monday or Friday
Yeah.
or Cyber Monday or whatnot. So, and I bought it, and I said that, you know, but I'm not sure whether my wife will approve it. So, because that's going to be the 4th scale. So I brought it home, and I said, hey, you know, Christmas is coming, so I bought a Christmas present for myself. And she said, so what is it? And I showed it to her, and she said, if you really need it, I don't think we need that accuracy, but if you really need it.
Centigram.
Measuring food in centigrams.
Yeah, I am measuring eggs, and I am measuring everything in grams,
great.
but for example, if I have a spice or something, you know, you really have to be accurate, because for vanilla, for example, 1 gram on 2 grams is just a difference of 1 gram, but a difference of 100%. Right.
Okay, my mother's Sicilian. You just grab a pinch and you just throw it in, you know? It's so funny hearing the differences.
You know what? When my grandma, and especially my mother-in-law, she was a wonderful person, and I learned a lot from her. She came to us when we got married, and she said, oh, I know that you are interested in baking, so just watch me what I do. And I said, Mom, I cannot do like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So what I did, I measured all the containers before we started.
Oh my gosh.
And I measured all the containers after we were done. And here was the recipe.
That is so funny. That is excellent. That's very clever.
Yeah, and then she said, oh, just a pinch of that or a pinch of that, and I said, okay, just
do your
go
thing.
ahead.
Yeah.
Just don't throw anything on the floor because I want to measure after that.
That is
and
funny.
that's how
you got the recipe.
Yeah, got
That
the
is
recipe.
great.
And then of course, you know, I tweaked it a little bit, because sometimes when you work with yeast, though temperature, humidity is
That makes
also
sense.
very, very important. Yeah. So, and I still sometimes I make the same with everything. I think the same, but natural ingredients: cottage cheese, milk, egg, flour. You know, the gluten content of the flour. So, you know, I also studied the flour a little bit, so that you know, what is the best for a cake flour, what is the best for a yeast dough. So now I am watching French pastry on YouTube during the night, either between opera and French pastry, because I am lacking knowledge in chocolate.
Okay.
And I hinted my daughter that, you know, there is a baking institute in New York, and I would like to get a Christmas present for a week of training there, but so far it didn't materialize. So probably it's too expensive. But anyhow.
So we're baking chemicals here. You know, there's so many similarities. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So your competitive nature, hanging out with Nobel Prize winners, hanging out in the polymer capital of the world, and now you're working, working with Synergy and working for Synergy. How is your competitive nature working with them? Do you see them as being very competitive?
I think so, because, you know, we are. So we have, how to say that, you know, coming from a company when I needed to measure something or test something, and I just said, okay, so let me just look up the instrument list, and we can do this here, we can send it to Germany, we can send it to Brazil, and they are gonna do it. I love to work with Gary, who actually knows not only the lab, but also the production, the shipping, and everything. So sometimes I need information that, okay, if we make a product like this, whether the plant can measure it accurately, or there are so many other things. So yeah, I like to do it. Probably it's sometimes you know, my wife says that, you know, just because they are asking a question, you don't have to answer immediately. But my professor always told me when he got a letter, he answered immediately because he said, I read it, it's fresh in my mind, and if I know the answer, I'm going to write it down and send it out, and I don't have to remember that. So that's why, I don't want to brag about it, but when you ask something during the weekend, and if I have the answer, I'm just rather answer you immediately.
He's always on it.
Because I don't have to worry Monday morning that what did he ask on Saturday evening, It's the same, it's probably the less energy.
We'll have to cut this out because I usually tell people that I'm waiting for you to get back to
No, I mean,
That's what editing's for.
Yeah. So, I see. So I hope that you will edit this.
Yeah, no problem. So what advantages, for those who don't know, what's the biggest advantages for this industry when it comes to polymers, which, Synergy and Pete, talking to him behind the scenes, he doubled down on it 20 years ago. And he just was, we wanted to be with technology. He wanted to be the best. Like you, this is things I've asked him, a completely different time period. And he always wanted to be the best. And I see a very similar, I know Steven is already like that.
Yeah.
And I myself am also like that, like really motivated to just be ahead of the curve. Just very striving to be the best out there.
I mean, being the leader, not the follower, that actually gives us, a good feeling.
It does give us a good feeling.
Yeah.
For those that don't even know what polymers are, why are polymers so much better than old traditional chemistry that most are doing?
I think that the multifunctionality, and if you remember, that association which I actually made, the Swiss Army knife.
Mm-hmm.
So the Swiss Army knife have multiple functionalities.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, you don't have to buy separately a screwdriver, a fork, whatever, a can opener or whatnot. Everything is in one place. And then you just have to know how to open it up in a Swiss Army knife. So we try to come up with raw materials and solutions when you don't need to have a different one for every little step. So for example, you can reduce your raw material list or inventory list, and then one type of chemistry or chemical can work in a all-wheel and tire cleaner, can work in a high pressure application, in a self-serve application, high temperature, low temperature, but mostly try to accomplish things with less challenging atmosphere for the car. So it's you wanna save the car, you wanna not to damage the clear coat, because I mean you can clean everything probably with hydrogen fluoride or ammonium bifluoride, but you don't want to shave the clear coat.
Yeah.
Because eventually you are gonna lose the glass, and also sooner or later an accident might happen.
Yeah.
So I think that safety, multifunctionality, and you can do cleaning, for example, with smaller molecules or traditional detergents, but the main thing is that it goes back to the surface because it loves the surface. That's why it ended up on the surface. So once you take it out and it's in the water, you want to prevent it from redeposition. And then the polymers have such a great functionalities that they can encapsulate it, grab it, and then they can take it away, so that once you loosen it up, you don't have to worry about that it's coming back. And I'm not saying that every time it's the case, but it's a scale. It's not black and white, but it's a gray scale.
Yeah.
And depending on how you choose your polymers, that's why I am still, there's tons of things to learn to get better. Even if you feel that your product is number one, my professor always told me you have to make your own product obsolete.
Yeah, and I could see Synergy doing that multiple times just with helping them the last couple of years.
You cannot.
They have a best, and then the next year there's another best.
You cannot sit on your
laurels.
back
or
laurels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell me if this is wrong. This is the way I kind of look at it for people. I'm a big fan of Kaizen and the theory of marginal gains, where when you make a lot of little things a percent or two bigger, it's substantial, more substantial than people think. And their pre-soaks and their polymers, it seems to really adopt that, because it doesn't, again, correct anything I'm saying wrong, but it's better on the equipment, better on the people, easier on the car, but gets the car cleaner simultaneously, helps it shine, and also helps it dry better, all at the same time. And that's kind of how I look at the polymer, because it's engineered to be able to do all those things.
Right.
Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then also, if you think about what synergy stands for, it's 1 + 1 is not 2, but 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So, many times when we put two chemicals together, and then we plot that, okay, if chemical A is 20%, chemical B is 80%, it's sometimes chemical A, the end result is not going to be represented only by 20%, but like 60%.
Yeah.
And chemical B is not 60%, but 80%. So they are somewhere in the middle, which is the synergism. It's not going to be just a linear stuff between, connecting 2 points, but it's going to be a curve which will have a maximum, and you have to find that optimum maximum point. So
That makes a lot of sense.
yeah, that's what we are working on. And in this industry, I think that honesty and hard work, probably not immediately, but I have a feeling that customers and colleagues really can see that when you are honest, and then you don't try to take advantage or have a quick profit on them and then let them go. But the longevity. So I mean, Steven is 32. So by the time you think about retirement, it's probably going to be another 40 years.
Maybe longer.
Or maybe longer.
Yeah.
So just think about it. I mean, you are not building a business for 1 year or 2 years, but you want to do it in 10 years or 15 years, or if you decide to do something else, still you try to. I always told my kids, nobody is perfect, but if you start something, try to do it the best, and don't say, oh, I can just do it now, and then maybe tomorrow I can improve, and then later I know that it's not the best, but hey, now it's okay. No, it's not okay. Put your max in today, and maybe tomorrow you will learn from your mistakes, and then you can do even a better.
Yeah.
My high school football coach, that's something that really always stuck with me. Shout out Coach Hertler. He always said, do it right, do it light, do it wrong, do it long. And to your point, it's exactly what we're trying to do here. We're trying to be here long term by doing things correctly instead of making a quick dollar. It's easy to go out there and, well, I don't know, but going out there and getting, a customer for the first time, getting money, and then selling them on something that's not correct, losing their business is not what we're for. We're here to gain a customer for life. We're here to be a trusted partner, trusted advisor, and and that starts by doing things the right way.
And so easy to lose somebody.
You only own one thing, and that's your name.
Yeah.
And Pete, obviously, throughout the decades, you've known Pete, and that's one reason you partnered, because you could probably consult for anybody out there. I mean, So it's a big word out there, but you have to think what is important for you, and appreciation, respect. So, for example, we went to one of our Christmas presents from my daughter was that she bought tickets to an RT show in New York. So we are standing in Manhattan in the Pier 62. It was raining, and finally we are getting to the building, but still a long line. And my granddaughter, who is 7, my wife, my daughter, and there is a couple, an elderly couple behind us, and of course my
granddaughter is chit-chatting and telling everybody that, that about us. So for example, she started, oh, by the way, do you know that my grandfather is 5 months younger than my grandmother? and he started to laugh and, oh, you are so cute. How old are you? Well, anyhow. And then finally she says that, the reason we are here today because my mom worked in the hospital during Christmas or whatnot. And then the gentleman is saying, okay, so what is she doing? And my granddaughter says, she's delivering babies. And she is asking, so what are you doing? And then the guy says, oh, I am just a bus driver. And then I immediately said, sir, please don't say that, because just think about it. If you guys did not work in New York City, what would happen? The doctors and nurses who would like to go back to the hospital, but they couldn't because there is no public transportation, or the people who pick up the trash didn't pick up the trash. Within 2 or 3 days, disease would start in the city, and it's going to be a chaos. So everybody contributes, and that's what my parents always taught us, that probably the biggest thing which you can show towards others, respect. That you don't know why somebody has a lower education than you. It could be that he or she couldn't go, or she was not interested. It doesn't matter. But what she or he is doing probably is also contributing to the big picture. Because we don't need only scientists, we don't need only teachers or chemists or whatnot. We need everybody. We need everybody to bring the society forward.
Yeah.
And the guy, when I told this, I saw that the guy, I started to vote because he felt so, how to say that, just surprised,
seen, touched,
yeah. And then
Grateful.
and then he says, I can feel that you are not an American. And I said, why? And he said, not because of your accent, but because what you said. And I said, no, sir. We met, during the business, when we opened the business, people appreciated, especially we didn't advertise that, hey, I am working at the university, and by the way, during the weekends, or I am cutting grass. But they appreciated the hard work. And that's what, I feel that here in America, you can excel much more proportional to what you put in than probably anywhere else. And that's what I really like here.
Yeah.
First of all, the freedom that you don't have to be a Democrat or Republican or independent to excel. And the second is the First Amendment, that I can tell you my opinion, and if you like it, you don't like it, don't like it, but that's my opinion. And the third is that respect.
Yeah.
People appreciate hard work, and that's what I really like. So
I have a couple more car wash questions for you. That was really good. So
okay.
why do you think people really realize how dangerous some of the chemicals are being used in the industry, and are you surprised they're still being used in the industry?
Yeah, some of them, yes. And a good example is the person who wore the
Crocs.
The Crocs.
Yeah.
That's not his fault. That's the manager's fault.
Yeah.
Because the manager should know better. First of all, you have to have a policy. You have to have an SOP, even if it's not officially written down. But you have to have rules that it protects you. It protects your business.
Yes, right.
And if you don't think about the person's health or well-being, it protects you, because lawsuits are just coming. That's probably the least things which I like here is the easy to sue somebody.
Yeah.
For the McDonald's hot coffee or the John Deere, somebody tried to to use a mower to trim shrubs, and then ended up on his thighs,
Yeah.
and then he sued John Deere because it was not written then you are not supposed to trim shrubs with a lawnmower. So yeah, I mean that's probably true. That's why I think we have to educate people, and the best thing is come up with less and less corrosive, safer and safer chemicals.
Do you think people, I know Synergy has doubled down, and again, behind the scenes, I've talked to Pete, and safety, again, you can see it in people's eyes.
Yeah.
And Pete's eyes, like safety is a huge concern for
Yeah.
his employees and for the chemical, because most of their stuff could just ship normally because it's not
Yeah.
corrosive.
Yeah.
Do you think people in the industry have any idea, in the car washes, I know my opinion because as a consultant, I see things, any idea of how harmful, short and long term, some of these chemicals they're using? You know, pre-soaks, wheel cleaners, wall cleaner, especially, those kind of things.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. Probably not.
And that's an important thing for a lot of car wash owners to start to research. You know, I'm this sounds like a non sequitur, but I'm an Agent Orange baby. So my father was exposed to all that, had a lot of hands and ears and feet issues, and people don't realize that goes through your genetics, and then you know your kids have that kind of stuff, and the ammonium
That's
bifluoride.
Iraq, right?
That was Vietnam.
Or Vietnam. I'm
Yep,
sorry,
that's right.
Vietnam.
Yep.
Vietnam, because Iraq was not.
They had their own chemical issues.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Burning the pits and things
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
right.
That's
And
Afghanistan,
some
yeah.
depleted uranium issues
Yeah,
with Iraq
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So, but that genetically holds in your body, and then you pass that down through your children. And ammonium bifluoride, hydrofluoric acid, again, a lot of stuff still used in different aspects. And do you have any, you know, anything to say about how people should start looking at their labels, start researching the stuff they're using?
Yeah, again, I think that that's the owner of the car wash, or the owner of the chemical company, or the the managers who really, you know, because safety data sheets are not for just, hey, you know, I
Check the box.
I check the box.
Yep.
It's you know, even if I buy you know, maybe a frozen food.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I could just put it into the microwave, but I don't know whether I have to leave the foil or how many minutes or things like that. So yesterday, you know, it was cold. I went to Myers, and I bought a chicken marsala or whatnot. But still, you know, I mean, there is information on there which you have to read. I mean, I already used it, so I knew how to use it. But I still read it. But maybe that's because, you know, I mean, my wife told me that, or somebody told me that, you know, you have to find a new sport when you retire, maybe golfing, and because I never golfed in my life. And I said, maybe I will buy a book and read about it. And my wife said, oh my God,
I am
buy
seeing
a
a theme when
book.
it comes to that.
Buy a book, you take this stuff and go out and hit it. And I said, okay, you do it that way. I will learn the rules. Or we started pickleball.
Yeah.
And then she said, oh, don't worry about the rules, just hit. And I said, okay, but if we challenge another couple, we have to know the rules, because otherwise they can score even if they are not scoring and we don't know what. And she said, don't worry about it, just hit it. So that's a different approach, but I love her to death. So.
Yeah, that's one thing I wish people would educate themselves more on, because I don't think they realize you don't notice the effects immediately. If you're not careful with the chemicals they're using, again, this could be 5, 7, 10, 15 years down the road, and then you could pass it on, you know, to different generations. This stuff is pretty harsh, still being used in the industry.
I mean, if I think about it, you know, even back in Hungary, when I did my first PhD, I was working with chemicals which were cancer suspect agents. And although, you know, we were using the chemical hoods, and then, you know, when we smelled something, you know, we immediately, I mean, left the lab, and then we did everything and used gloves and protective clothing. So we were not allowed to go to the lab without a lab coat. Even we had pants.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's how to say that there is a double-edged sword, because sword.
Sword. Yeah.
Because you don't want to scare the customer that, hey, you have a 15 page SDS or cover every aspect of it, but at the same time you have to find the balance, and there are also regulations. So nowadays it's easy. I mean, they can ask AI about a chemical, and then AI will collect all the information about that chemical which needs to be considered. So for example, my wife was asking me about how much calcium, she needs because of her bone density issue. And I said, hey, I'm going to do a study, and then I'm going to let you know that how much you need by food, how much you need by pills or supplements, and then we can compare it to Mayo Clinic website. So there are so much opportunities now that you don't have to be uneducated about something. If you're really interested in something,
that's a good point.
You can educate yourself. However, you cannot rely on one source.
That's
it's
really
not
important.
An excuse.
It's
not
an excuse.
I really like that answer. And for those watching, if you're not a manager or you're just an employee, start taking the SDSs, take a picture of them, and run it through AI minimum. Because you might be surprised at one little thing they tell you to do. Again, it's just you just need to know. At one point, somebody wanted me to clean a blower. It was aluminum, and it was a Alumabrite or something. I read the SDS. I'm like, we're not letting anybody clean these things.
Yeah.
We're not with this because it was so crazy. And they want to do it between cars. You can't fully, kit up properly and then do it for 5 minutes and the car comes, you got to take it off. A lot of people don't realize you're really busy. So take the time off the clock, check some of these things out, because we know when you're busy, it's too late.
I think the best investment is if you take care of safety in your car wash. Because then it's probably, you will not realize, but that's the best way to save money and also to take care of the people.
I agree.
So.
Steven, you have any questions?
I was just going to say, people don't know what they don't know, right?
That's right. That's why I'm saying it.
Pretty famous saying. So you got to partner with someone that is honest, with integrity, that's going to tell you how to use your products, but also how to protect yourself from certain hazards. And it might not even be like toxicity or like something that's corrosive. Like even something, when people ask me, why should I use a solvent-based over a water, vice versa, and I just tell them the differences. A big danger and something to consider when using, a solvent-based. It's typically it stays around, where it's being applied. So it's a slip hazard. So just, partnering with the right people that are going to be honest with you. We want everyone at our office and our facility to come and leave work as they came, and that's kind
that was our motto.
We have to
good.
push along with our customers, distributors, etc. So kind of make that bleed through as far as safety goes. So.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be in a car wash situation. I mean, you are at home and you have a drain opener.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
A bleach-based drain opener and an acid-based drain opener. And then if you put the two together, chlorine gas will come up. So it's very dangerous. You really have to read the label.
Well, I like what you said earlier, because you and I have both used AI. You obviously at a different level than me, asking at different things. But even my research, from what I know, if you're going deep, it can lead you astray. But for the simple questions like this, it's really good at it. Because for you, reading the label of a bleach-based and an acid-based, compared to someone else, so at least type those two things in. Like, hey, Gemini, can I use this and this? And it's going to put a big X. It's usually pretty good at that kind of stuff. So
it's similar, like nowadays the doctors, they have the then when they prescribe a new medication, immediately they can check whether there is another medication which have incompatibility.
That makes a lot of sense.
Something like that.
That's really accelerated.
Yeah.
Steven, you have any questions or comments, or?
I don't really have anything at this time, but I do. We do share common heritage. I'm 25% Hungarian. Just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
So, and I know your wife is.
My
100%.
wife is 100% Hungarian.
So
can't wait for her to meet you. I want.
Oh yeah.
A lot of Hungarian ties on here.
Yeah, it is. Her father was, or her grandfather was a professor at one of the universities. So Nemasegi, I don't know if that name. There's probably a lot of.
Yeah,
Nemasegis,
it's
but
very.
there's
It's
just
a,
like Nagy. It's a very
yeah,
common. Yeah,
not
okay.
as common probably,
Okay.
but yeah. So yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of commonalities we have to talk about.
You probably heard, or maybe you told me that saying that who is a Hungarian who enters behind you into a revolving door and steps out ahead of you on the other side.
That's interesting. I like
I
that.
haven't heard that.
You never
Yeah.
heard that? Yeah.
That-
It's not a nice way of
That's funny.
that's sneaky.
We were talking about real quick, and we're almost finished up here. You good on time? Everything's good?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because this is a great conversation. So we were talking about cost per car, and you said you weren't as surprised, but give us your experience on why, or just some conversation of why owners don't do cost per car, and they often are spending too much energy looking at cost per package per container than the cost per car.
I think it's a human nature, and to tell the truth, if I am really honest, and sometimes I am thinking that, hey, we have Costco membership, we have Sam's Club membership, and usually we try to fill up a car at their places. But sometimes I don't have to go to Costco, but because my car is empty, I drive up for the cheaper gas and I buy something else which I probably don't need.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, you just don't look at the dollar per gallon, because you also have to go there and you consume some gas.
Yeah.
So it's
Mhm.
probably not going to be cheaper unless you really have to go there.
Yeah.
So, or sometimes my wife keeps telling me that, hey, you don't need new clothes unless it's something, maybe a new jacket or something like that, because we are not growing, hopefully, neither direction.
Yeah.
So, and we have lots of stuff, but we are just replacing whatever is worn out. And because we came and we had to watch every cent, I am still going and to see, okay, maybe this one is very nice, I like it, but maybe there is a cheaper one. And maybe many people are something like that, that, hey, this one is cheaper, they say it's a pre-soak, I don't worry about the outcome. And it's probably a human nature. And I am also have to admit that sometimes I am guilty, but I try to also tell my kids the same thing, that you have to look at the whole picture. The life cycle analysis, or whatever,
Yeah,
Spot on.
You need to research.
Yeah, you have to consider everything. So it's a human nature. I mean, you can buy a Chevy, or you can buy a Cadillac, or you can buy a Lamborghini. I mean, it's all cars have the four wheels, and probably they bring you from A to B. The question is, what's your goal?
Yeah. I saw the Lamborghini you brought. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. He did not bring a Lamborghini.
Yeah,
He's worth it.
it was funny because we visited once a customer, a car care chemical manufacturer, and he said that, oh, we cannot afford that. It was a new chemistry, and we really wanted to introduce it. And I said, okay, I mean, it's up to you, but just to let you know that if you don't choose our chemicals, I have to wait another year for my Lamborghini. And they started to laugh, so.
Steve, do you have any input on the cost per car versus cost per container thing that you've run into? It just shocks me.
Yeah,
that people
no,
don't.
it's definitely always shocking. The conversation happens all the time. Concentrates have been more predominant in the last 5 years than they have ever. They've been newer in the last dozen years or so. We adopted it a dozen years ago or so. So we were early adopters to that, but we sold a ton of drums up till like 5 years ago, where everything started really shifting. The industry really started shifting. But there are still late adopters. There's still a lot of people out there that rely on drum products. And so it's just understanding how to get through to different people in different ways. Not some people are visual people, some people are, auditory, verbal communicators, visual. Some people need a touch. You know, there's different ways to get through with different people. But like as far as understanding how to get through to people and explaining it multiple different ways, right? Because something that makes sense to Dr. Nagy probably doesn't make sense to me, especially when it comes to a technical like chemistry situation. But like just explaining someone, hey, like I know you're a new operator and your budget is tighter, you know, you just financed your house or whatever the case may be, to be able to afford this. Like, let me help you out. Like, what if I told you I could save you, you know, 2/3 on shipping costs every time you order product? Is that something you'd be interested in? You know,
right.
that's
right.
one
That's
of
a
the
good
things
point.
I usually, and like, you know, there's even like, there's multi-site operators, new investors, and like, so it's not just people that don't know. It's not just people that, you know, might just own one wash. It's people that come from other industries too, because it is a concept that's not always easy to grasp. But like, just explaining that, you know, I can save you 2/3 in shipping costs that, you know, you can use to, you know, maybe hire another attendant, you know, maybe, you know, pay for, you know, you and your wife to go out on a date or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that money can go a long way. And there's also so many other, like just finding those ways, you know, space storage, you know, not breaking your back. I had a distributor, I have a distributor. He's been distributing chemical for over 40 years. He had rotator cuff surgery in both arms.
That's a tough one.
And he's still a late adopter, you know, and it's like, dude, something was going on here. He's been flipping 55-gallon drums his whole life for over 40 years.
But
you know?
could it be also cash flow? That
It could be cash flow. It definitely is cash flow. But
That's a good point.
But understanding the, you know, just speaking with your partners, because I mean, if it's a cash flow thing, that's definitely something that could be an issue. But you know, a lot of people, there's payment programs and stuff like that kind of everyone wins in that situation. But even sustainability, think about our footprint, our fossil footprint. You know, where again, like I'm just generalizing, like one skid of 55-gallon drums, 455s, you know, or three skids of 55-gallon drums is equivalent to one skid of extreme pack. So having to, you know, transport 3 skids versus 1 skid across the country, can you imagine how much more could fit in those 2 spots? You know, food, beverage, like just sustainable for the environment in general. Like there's a lot of, it's not, you're not just saving stuff or saving money to help yourself, but you are doing the work to you know, collaborating as far as you know, doing your part as far, like saving the environment in a stance.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that much in the environmental impact of polymers, but I know that's a huge difference compared. You might be able to answer this, and this is going to sound crazy, but this actually happened. We were at a wash, and we increased the volume significantly, and we were upstream from the water treatment plant, about 5 miles upstream. We were directly right on the river and upstream, and the water treatment facility people would talk to us and say, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. It's helping it's probably because of the microbes or something, because I know they use bugs or microbes. They said, whatever you're doing at this car wash, it's actually helping the water treatment plant.
Yeah.
Why was that? You have any idea why that is?
Because sometimes I think that the traditional surfactants could be food for the bad bacteria. So it develops odor, and it's not the aerobic degradation which you are looking for. It goes anaerobic. It's always developing, odor. So and then our molecules more pit friendly because of they are working well with the good bacteria. And that's probably the short answer.
Yeah, because this wash was using Synergy's all their stuff, and it was pretty. You know, when they come to say, "I want to talk to you," and it's a water treatment plant, like, we're in trouble here. But they were very appreciative of that.
Yeah.
So you were a very motivated guy that wants to be the best. I know Pete and Steve are very motivated to be the best. Where do you see the future for Synergy?
I think that I really appreciate what Pete did, or Pete and Charlene did for for the business, because that's a huge impulse, a huge input. You know, my wife and I are thinking the same way. We are not gonna, bring our savings to the grave. I mean, we have a Hungarian saying that if you wanna give with warm hands.
Wow.
And that probably translates everything. And
Yeah.
and when I also heard and saw in one of our visits when I was still working for the German company, when I heard that what Pete was planning with Charlene, I said, this is the guy who is probably thinking the same way that we do.
Excellent.
And that was a huge, factor in my decision.
Wow.
And I think that you guys are really appreciated. And I always say that, you know, sometimes you don't see immediately. My daughter was always very, very dedicated and excellent student. My son is brilliant. I mean, he has such a good memory, but he was not always focusing on the right thing when he went through those teenage years.
Mm-hmm.
And it took him longer to reach his current position. I mean, he is a controller in a French multinational company, so he's doing very well. But and then I can see that so many times we told him, do this, do that, and it's always the opposite. And now I can see, just realizing that he is behaving very similarly what we wanted him to behave with the family. He is running home. He is not going out with friends, and worrying about the kids, and so it just I think it pays off, because live by examples or something like that.
Yep. Lead by example. Yep.
Live by example,
Yep.
and that's probably the strongest way to influence your kids, I think.
Yeah.
So far, at least.
Yeah.
Keep my fingers crossed, but the way they are focusing, and also, they are joking with me that, hey, this is a dad joke or something like that. Not a died or dead joke, but a father's dad joke. Yeah, I even got a little booklet from my daughter for Christmas as a dad joke booklet. But yeah, so I think that was really touching for me.
Mm-hmm.
That, I knew that many people out there think about similarly about the future and the family than we do. But what Pete and Charlene did for the business is it's such a huge push towards the right direction that Steve will do the same for his for the next generation. I am absolutely
It's a
sure.
breath of fresh air when you work with, a privately owned business who really has the motivation but the care, compared to some of the corporate where you have to answer to stockholders and you have different people just trying to hit numbers.
And that's a very good point, because I mean, it was also a publicly traded company, and profit. So, but at the same time, still the culture was very acceptable for me. That's why I stayed almost 20 years with them. So, the European thinking and taking care of people, safety. Profit is very important, because I mean, we are in the business to make money, otherwise we would not be. But at the same time, you have to put your priorities to the right place.
Yeah.
And again, giving with warm hands, that's my father told us, and that's what we try to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think you fit in very well. So
I think that they accepted me as I think.
He's a part of the family.
And then
Part of the family.
and treated like a family member. It really makes a huge difference.
I agree.
It really makes a huge difference.
And you see it in their, don't want to get off the subject too much, but I really genuinely see it in their employees and their team, because when I talk to people in any site across the country, saying the same names. Like
Yeah.
the reason I went this direction initially because I had trust in this person, and then it
Yeah,
ended up being the
yeah.
real deal. But it was all about trust and relationship.
And then these two went to customers, visiting customers when he was younger, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
then I remember that with the pickup truck, Stephen was there if he had a chance, and he
Great
learned,
memories.
and he learned a
Yes.
lot, because it's easy to say, just sell chemicals if the chemicals are decent or good, but still, it's lots of psychology.
Yeah.
It's treating people the right way, treating people that they feel that they are important, not only because you are making money, but also you think that they also want to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's not
right.
like a business is not good if it's good for one side. A
I
business
agree.
is
No.
good when it's good for both.
And it's definitely not sustainable that way.
No.
Exactly.
And we see, the truth is, we see that with some of these giant corporations right now. They are hurting, and some of the private companies are coming up. Some have a moderate product. I would say Synergy has a really good product, but even the moderate products that are privately owned, the big companies are burning the bridges so bad that people are just doing anything to look for an alternative because they've really, it was a short term.
The human connection has a huge value which some companies don't realize, and you cannot put it sometimes into numbers, but
Yeah.
I think that it's probably up there when you have the level of service, but the human connections, the trust, if you just look at the people who are on the website and then they are doing a statement about the business, they look very honest and
Yeah.
it speaks for itself.
And it's the servant mentality. If you're here to serve first, it
Yeah.
comes back around.
Yep. So
Great. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you
This
very
has been really
much.
good.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
All
Thank
right. Anything
you.
else
Thanks,
here?
doctor.
And
No.